What's up guys, I'm Sanjay C for ADSR. Arturia recently released the V Collection 7, the latest version of its bundle of 24 software instruments, which includes many iconic vintage synths. Today we're looking at what's new in version 7. First, we'll explore the 3 brand new instruments, the CZ, the Synthi, and the Mellotron. And then we'll take a look at the new features in Analog Lab 4. During this video, you'll see that I'm using the Arturia Mini Lab Mark II, which gives great hands-on control to Arturia software instruments. However, you can now use any MIDI keyboard to control them, which is one of the best new features of Analog Lab 4. But we'll get to that feature later. But for now, let's check out these new instruments. First up is a synth based on the classic Casio CZ keyboards. Arturia's version, like the original, uses phase distortion synthesis on 2 waves that you'll see right up front. You can modify the sounds using DCW, digitally controlled wave shaping. It gives you similar results to filter cutoff on a subtractive synth. Okay, we're getting a little technical now, but basically, Arturia CZ V gives you a much easier way to learn and understand that retro synthesis by adding a graphical interface. You'll see the DCW controls right here. Here's one of the presets included with Arturia CZ V. Now let's modify the DCW for these 2 waveforms. Now I can do this independently, so I can turn off line 2, so we can just hear line 1. Now let's just listen to line 2. Now let's turn up the DCW for this sound. And then let's turn on line 1. Now you can make some pretty sounds like this, but you can also get really gritty. Here's another preset. You can also adjust envelopes, modulations, and the included effects. Let's listen to a few more presets included with the CZV. The next new instrument in the V Collection 7 is the Synthi V. This instrument is based on a briefcase modular synth from the 1970s. It uses a unique push-pin matrix for modulation. The Synthi V is great for weird sounds and sequences, but you also have tons of other sounds included. Arturia added some features to the original synth, including effects, and there's also a step sequencer. The pin matrix right in the middle works kind of like a patch bay for signal routing. The table takes a little getting used to, but you can build sounds and modify them by poking pins into the grid. Creating a basic sound requires just a few pins. A real fun thing to do with this is also to route your signal to the joystick you see on the right. Things get even more interesting when you open the panel at the top. Arturia has added additional functions in here and effects as well. Alright, so that's just making a basic sound, but let's try some of the presets that Arturia includes with the Synthi V. The third brand new instrument in the V Collection 7 is the Mellotron. The Mellotron is a unique instrument from the 60s that played back tape recordings of acoustic instruments. When you played the keyboard, the tape recordings play. The sound is immediately recognizable. At first glance, it looks pretty simple. You can just switch between the different recordings. You've got the flutes, you've got the strings, and you've got cellos. You can also switch it to all, which plays all three of the recordings at the same time. But under the hood, things get really interesting. Up at the top, you've got controls to adjust the lo-fi-ness. Is that a word? Tape saturation. And now below, you can adjust the sample playback. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. You can actually load your own samples right into the Mellotron. So I'm loading up a guitar sample that I have. Now I can actually adjust the effects. And I can also combine this with the samples included with the Mellotron. You can load 3 of your own samples in here to make some really interesting sounds. And in addition to that, they've also added effects. Click the effects button at the top, and now you've got pedal style effects. So if I want to add more distortion to this sound, so you're not just stuck with the flutes and cellos and strings samples, but the Mellotron also has tons of other presets with their own samples. Let's try some of them out. Arturia has also updated their Analog Lab software to version 4. Analog Lab gives you quick access to all the instruments in the V collection. That's over 6,500 presets from all the individual software instruments. It's a quicker way to find sounds across the entire collection by filtering by synths, or pianos, or organs. You can also find sounds just by filtering by instrument type if you know the synth that you want to use, or by the type of sound. So once you've done your filtering, you choose a preset and start playing. In the latest version, Arturia has added new presets, including presets from the Pigments Wavetable synth if you've got that. You can access the full controls of each instrument as well right from this interface. Also in this latest version, Arturia has added the concert mode. When you click that, you can set up your list of songs for your live performance. Then you load one of them up and click on Go on Stage. This simplifies the interface a lot and lays it out for easier access to sounds during a live performance. You can now also add effects. Analog Lab version 4 also adds convenient mapping of its controls that you see here at the bottom to any MIDI controller keyboard. I actually tried this with my Native Instruments keyboard and it worked really well. By clicking the MIDI button at the bottom, you can do quick MIDI learn functions for all of the controls. You'll find a link to get more information and to buy the Arturia V collection in the description of this video. Now, I've got to get back to the Synthi V and those push pins. Keep making the music that you love. I'm Sanjay C for ADSR.